Rev up your engines!
All right, it looks like the major automakers have turned the corner on a global chip shortage. According to UBS, they think that the worst of the global chip shortage is over. You know what Scotty has to say? Have they learned anything from this? I kind of doubt it. I will bet they'll go back to their old ways and just see where they can get them the cheapest. And then if they don't sell as many cars, they'll stop orders, and then the companies that make the chips will go somewhere else. Then when they want them, they'll come back whining, crying that, oh, we don't have any chips. Hey, maybe they should do them in-house. Maybe they should get a better relationship with people like Toyota did with their suppliers. They pay them cash. They don't pay them 6 months later, and so they have a bad relationship with them. I doubt that they probably learned anything from this at all, actually. They say that starting to go away, that they're making the chips. Hey, whatever happened to true capitalism? You know, when there's a need, somebody fills the need. You'd think that guys that make chips, somebody'd hop right in and pick it up. We live in a pretty high-tech society, right? It's something as simple as making these chips. They can't make them. They can't find another supplier. To me, it just shows that they're top-heavy, these corporations. Too many chiefs, not enough Indians doing the work, right? People that run them. I mean, you see some of these companies, oh, who's the head of the company now? Oh, well, he used to be the head of marketing and sales. Yeah, how about somebody who actually knows how to run a business? I saw the same thing in media when I worked at CBS. They keep promoting the heads, these guys who are heads of marketing. Not the people that knew how to run the news, how to run the station, the people who knew the marketing end of it, right? Because that's all they ever thought was, oh, market. You can market anything. Well, you can market anything you want to try to market, but if the product is garbage, guess what? People either aren't going to buy it, or in the case of TV, they're not going to watch it. Jerome says, I got a Toyota 4Runner, and randomly it won't start. It's a little bit older, right? Probably the starter. They wear out on Toyotas eventually, and then you turn them, nothing happens, then you turn them and they start. Here's kind of a decent test of that. Say you turn it, it doesn't start. Quick, have a long piece of metal or wood and whack the starter while somebody holds the starter key. If it starts making noise, it means the starter's wearing out. It's like beating on a toaster that doesn't work and all of a sudden it works. They short out internally. That's generally what it is. Test your battery. Any auto parts store tests them free. If it's a weak battery, it can do that. If the battery connections are loose, it'll do that. But generally, if it's been doing it for a while, it's the starter starting to wear out. They have little commutator brushes. As the brushes wear, they get thinner and thinner, and the springs that push them in get weaker and weaker because they get longer. Then it doesn't make contact. And if you hit the starter, that lets it make contact and starts, and you just replace the starter. Kaizen says, new cars getting towed. It always surprised me when new cars getting towed. I saw a Mercedes-Benz getting a tow, and he's got a picture of a brand new one being towed. If you had to get a tow for a car, what was the problem? What things to look out from getting a tow? Well, my own cars, I'm a mechanic. I don't get them towed. I just fix them. Since I drive Toyotas and Lexuses, never really break, so I don't have to worry about it. Now, customers tow me cars all the time when they break down. I used to be a mobile mechanic, and I went to them, but now with cars so complex, I'm so busy, people have to bring them to me. I can't go travel anymore. When you're getting a tow, one, you want to make sure that the guy knows what he's doing. If it is a front-wheel drive car, they got to pick the front up and roll on the rear. You cannot tow a car with an automatic transmission with the wheels in the ground. It will ruin the transmission. You want your car towed, let's say you got AAA or something, demand one of those Landaus where they pull it up on the bed and it's riding on the bed. None of it's on the ground, because when they're pulling a car on the ground, they can smash into things. They can still do damage. It's best to have one that's pulled up on top of it, and then it's totally safe. That's why you see so many of those out there. If you don't have any problems with your car, before they tow it, when it's done, drive it and check. Because I had a customer years ago, had a Jaguar, had it towed to me. And I said, man, your car really steers like crap. He says, well, it had a little problem. I said, no, this is not a little problem. I can barely drive it down the road. It's going sideways. Well, it turns out the idiot in the tow truck, when he pulled it on his bed, he hooked the hooks up to the steering racks of the car. And when he did, he bent the tie rods, and it was totally undrivable. And on this particular Jag, the inner tie rods are part of the whole assembly. It costs thousands of dollars. Luckily, the company had insurance, and he got it fixed for free. So make sure you got a bonded tow truck driver that has insurance, because if they screw up, you don't want some gypsy guy that, oh, he bent your thing, and who knows, they don't have any insurance. Make sure it's a bonded real company when they're towing your vehicle. And ask them a couple of questions like, how are you going to tow this thing, you know? Let's say it's a four-wheel drive vehicle. You got to put them on a Landau. You can't pull them on the ground if it's four-wheel drive. That's automatic transmission. It'll destroy stuff. So ask them a few questions before they pull your baby away if you need it towed. Carlos says, flooded cars in Detroit. Tens of thousands of cars and trucks were flooded in a huge rainstorm in Detroit. Miles of roads are full of submerged vehicles. Oh, geez. I'm used to that in Houston. I saw that all over the time. Brand new Jeep Cherokees, Durangos, bobbing around like corks. We rarely have flooding here, so now I better understand how so many cars end up for sale that are flooded. Yeah, watch out for flooded cars if you're buying a used car. That's just something you have to watch out for. The big thing is, water is insidious. It can take sometimes years to finally corrode it enough. I had a customer years ago with a Volkswagen, and I'm working on it. And I'm like, geez, the fuel pump didn't work. I fixed that, but then the ignition didn't work. I fixed that, but then it still wouldn't run. So I'm swearing at the car, and he comes by and says, well, what's going on? I said, well, your car. Everything seems to be wrong. He said, oh, did I tell you? 3 years ago, the water came in the windows in a flood in Houston and came in the windows of the car that was that high, up to the windows and coming in. So why didn't you tell me that? I wouldn't have wasted any time or money. I would have told you, get rid of the car, or the water's intruded into everything. But he drove it for 3 years, an engineer. So he changed all the fluids and everything, and it worked for 3 years. But then it completely crapped out, and he sent it to a junkyard. You don't want to mess with a flooded car. Stay far away from flooded cars. Now, supposedly the insurance companies are supposed to get rid of them and but all of them fall through the cracks. I personally saw a bunch of Hurricane Sandy cars in Houston. There was this sleazy guy who ran a Shell gas station, and he had them lined up, 8 cars, and they were all late model Audis, Acuras, Lexuses, right? And I said to the guy, I said, what are you having, a car show? He says, oh no, those are cars I bought. They're for sale. He went to Jersey and bought them from Hurricane Sandy. And I'm like, whoa, you're taking a chance. He said, oh no, he says, they're not my name. They're in other people's names, They go through like South Carolina where they'd wash the title, put a different name on it. He was draining the transmissions and engines. I could see seawater coming out, and he had all the dashes out on a table with his son and a hair dryer, and he was drying them out. And they were selling them to people. So you want to stay away from flooded cars. That's why you want to pay a mechanic to check out a car if you're paying top dollar, because we can tell if it's been flooded or not. If it was, you just walk away from a car then. There are a lot of sleazy people out there trying to get their hands on these things. If it says reconditioned title, rebuilt title, start looking for flood damage right away, especially if you're in an area that had a flood recently. Johnny B says, my car is weird. When I'm going slow and I brake, I hear this weird noise, like a noise you might make on a rubbing or something. What could it be? The brake pads look okay. As cars age, the rotors, they start to get real shiny. Now, they all get shiny. That's kind of normal. But when they get too shiny, it's what's called glazed. And when you're braking slow, the brake pads hit those glazes, and they can make the oddest sounds. Just like a person licking their finger and going on a lip of a glass makes a sound. It's the same type of thing. If you don't like the noise, replace the rotors and change the pads, because the pads will be glazed too. But if it stops perfectly fine, what the heck? Most people will just live with something like that. But if you don't like the noise, change the rotors and the pads, get good pads like Akabono, and they won't make any noise. But I mean, if it stops okay and they're thick, it's not hurting anything, and it doesn't shake when you stop. If they're warped, when you stop at like 60, your steering wheel will shake. Then, you really should get new rotors. But if it stops straight, just makes noise, you can always live with it. And if you want to be Mr. Cheapo, you don't want to buy the rotors, you could just buy Akabono pads, and they're so good, even on glazed rotors, they often won't make any noise. A Tesla driver was ticketed for parking his car in a foreign car parked in a domestic lot at a GM factory. Okay, well, we all know these Teslas. It's an American company, right? And if it's in the United States, most of the ones you buy in the United States are made in the United States. They're not made in China, right? They have rules, this GM plant, that you can only park American domestic cars in this parking lot. You can't park the foreign ones because, of course, they don't like the competition. Especially a company like GM that isn't doing all that well in the first place. Revenge, instead of building them better, they just want revenge. Of course, hilarious enough, it's not a foreign car, not a money ticket. It was a warning ticket for the guy, somebody who works at the GM factory, drives a Tesla. That's kind of hilarious in itself. Hilariously enough, the Model 3 was just rated as the most American vehicle money can buy in 2021. So the most American car was ticketed for being a foreign car in a GM lot. Well, is that surprising? The way that company runs, quite a few of American facilities do have this. Ford has it, Subaru does it in the United States, that if you don't have their car, you got to park it in a certain area. GM actually splits it down to GM products, non-GM domestic vehicles, and foreign vehicles. You got to park in a different parking lot, Talk about making it divisive for your workers, I had an uncle lived in Flint, Michigan back in the day when the Japanese were starting to take over in the American car market. People would stone the Toyotas and the Hondas. They'd break their windshields and stuff because they knew they were losing their jobs. And if you ever go to Flint, Michigan, you'll see what happened. They don't have too many jobs left there now, so Break all the windows in the world you want. You're not going to change the way the economy's working. If somebody makes a better vehicle and people buy it, it's goodbye to the people that make the poor vehicles. That's just what happens. Patricia, it's like the dinosaurs. Yeah, well, the dinosaurs stuck around for millions of years, but eventually they went extinct. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.